Welcome back. It is 3:08 on this Thursday afternoon. So it's been a while since we chatted, but today the story, and that's why we're going to talk to Fred Beauchemin in just a sec. You heard, of course, when the federal budget came out, the thing and it's still being talked about right now. There's a lot of, I don't know if we call it confusion, but there are a lot of people still trying to figure out this capital gains tax hike, who it's going to affect, if this was a good idea, a bad idea. And then, of course, literally a day or just a couple of days later, our own finance minister, Éric Girard, provincially, announced that, Quebec was going to follow suit. And if I read right, he estimates that this hike in capital gains tax could bring in an additional billion, that's with a B, $billion a year into Quebec, a province that, of course, just now has its highest deficit ever in the budget, which is about $11 billion. Fred Beauchemin is the Liberal MNA representing the riding of Marguerite-Bourgeoys. He's also, of course, in this particular case, the official opposition critic on finance, and he's on the line right now. Fred, thanks for being here.
Good afternoon.
So let's deal with this. I think at the beginning, after the federal announcement on this capital gains tax hike, a lot of people thought Quebec wouldn't follow suit. It didn't take Éric Girard long to simply say, well, yeah, we're going to do it because, of course, $1 billion is $1 billion. We're dealing with a gigantic deficit. What's your party's take on this?
That we're against it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a tax on innovation. It's a tax on business. It's a tax on productivity. The biggest issue that we have here, actually, is that this, Quebec government, the CAQ, has been spending left, right, and center to the tune of $11 billion deficit. And in order to, fix the thing, as opposed to basically managing the entity of the government better, they've decided to hike the tax. We're against that.
Well, so, I mean, again, it's a bit confusing here. I actually watched something the other night suggesting that doctors, for example, I mean, people, when this was announced and the government tried to sell it as basically a tax on the wealthy or the ultra wealthy, if you will, because it only kicks in over $250,000. And doctors are saying, well, you know what, maybe this is, and let's face it, we're in a province now where we have the worst doctor shortage, I think, of any province in the country. If this makes it harder for doctors to want to stay here or practice or retire, do whatever, it's clearly a bad idea. So
it's going to discourage doctors. It's going to discourage investment in Quebec. It's going to discourage our competitive advantage. You have to remember that we are the only autonomous province fiscally, which means Quebec has the right to decide whether or not it wants to do what Ottawa decided to do. All the other provinces, it's an automatic. Like in Ontario, the provincial government automatically harmonizes with Ottawa. But in Quebec, we have the power, the autonomy to decide whether or not we want to do that. The choice was then to see whether or not we wanted to create this optimal environment for business to come to Quebec, optimal environment for business in Quebec to become more productive, and the CAQ's decision was against that. So my perspective on this is that these guys just don't know how to attract development in Quebec, and the consequences of that is that we're all going to end up paying for it because our productivity level is going to go down.
Yeah, and of course the irony is just laid out the fact that for everything else that other provinces do, the Quebec gets to say, no, we don't have to do this. In the case of harmonized sales tax, the minister was only too happy to follow along.
Like a kid in a candy store, he just jumped on it. So at the end of the day, it's pathetic. We have this issue because we are in North America. Our productivity against the U.S. is pathetically low. We need to become more productive. How to do that? We need to attract investment so that we can update our business models, so we can become more, in tune with intelligence, artificial intelligence. We can be in tune with better practices. We can attract better capital that wants to develop in Quebec. By doing so, we're pushing it away. And so therefore, we're going to end up being, again, less productive. And again, we're going to lose, like our dollar is not going to improve. So at the end of the day, we're going to be losing our purchasing power. And then, it goes against the concept of actually growing properly the economy. Nobody is attracted to paying more taxes. At the end of the day, it's a very simple question.
Yeah, and I think we could all argue in Quebec we pay enough, right? We're paying more tax than pretty much anyone else in the country to begin with. This is just,
Absolutely.
Again, another kick in the head, if you will. I'm curious for two things. Number one, the minister's mind is made up, so nothing is going to change here, I don't think. What's the suggestion to the public?
Well, first of all, we can still put pressure. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep on pushing. I've been on social media and I've been on medias everywhere to basically stand against this stupid position. So I'm not giving up yet.
Okay.
And then other things that we can keep on doing. You can actually delay, if possible, your capital gain itself to 2026 when the Liberal Party goes back to power. because we're not going to be for that bill, So
Okay.
at the end of the day, there's that alternative. You could also, do partial capital gains so that you do not exceed the 250,000 limit, which that is treated at the old tax rate of half of that gain is going to get taxed. That there's that alternative as well that you can do. But the whole concept of taxing the wealthy, which is what the CAC is actually saying, is wrong, because we've had these examples that we heard of this week of folks that bought like these triplexes and fourplexes that basically put all their money, all of their free time, weekends, holidays, $20 loose, buy a can of paint to cover a wall. I mean, spending every energy that they have to build their own retirement nest egg,
Yeah.
and then at the end of the day, this government changes the rule retroactively. Like, I've never seen that. To retroactive decide to change the rules of the game, it's so unfair. Folks that have been working on their own, not dependent of the government to have a pension, independent folks like business people, and all of a sudden you're changing the rule against them. That's pathetic. It just goes against every logic for business development.
Look, I respect your optimism, by the way. The part about sneaking in, though, when there's a Liberal government in power in 2026, you won't have to worry about this. So good for you.
There you go.
Good for you. And I would have to ask as well, because we found out, I guess it was last week, when the actual leadership campaign for the Provincial Liberals will begin, and that's beginning next year in January. Are you still in the hunt here? Is this still in your plan?
It's still in my plan to think about this. We have more time to make
Well,
up
hold
our
on.
mind.
You've already thought about it. It is in your plan to run.
It's in my plan to consider all the steps that I need to take here and to get there. But yeah, for sure, I'm interested. It's just that there's many boxes I need to tick before I move forward.
Have you heard? This is not why we're talking, but we have to, because you're talking about getting into power. I don't know how much, I'm trying to find the right word here. Importance you put, if you will, in the most recent poll, that Palace data poll that showed the Liberals now actually only behind the PQ and ahead of the CAC, and other people suggest it was kind of a skewed poll. What was the reaction in the party to that?
I mean, the official reaction is that we have no reaction, obviously. But, I mean, at the end of the day, we could read the tea leaves in the sense that, folks are tired of the CAC. The PQ is rising up. That's going to wake up Liberals, and that's going to wake up Federalists to say, oh, hold on a second here. Okay, the Liberal Party is our alternative. Let's just go back to them. So, yeah, I mean, it's something that you should be expecting. But, combine that to the fact that we've had this, rejuvenescence of the party, if you like, for the last 6 months with André Pratt and Madois that went out to all the regions of Quebec. And then we have this leadership race that's going to attract a lot of more candidacy, and therefore we'll have a more significant debate as to, which way we want to take Quebec forward and so forth, and all the media attention that's going to bring it to, the household of every Quebecer out there. Therefore, we are on the right path in terms of being elevated to become the credible alternative for 2026, and I think the only credible alternative from my perspective.
Okay. Fred, it's always a pleasure. I always appreciate you giving us the time. By the way, you might want to take solace. I know we're kind of dumping on the finance minister, but he told Quebecers, Fred, that we're going to be saving money because when the LA Kings come here to play, they're responsible for their own alcohol and food.
There you go.
So
he's moving in the right direction.
That's hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands by the time we're done. Fred Beauchemin, finance critic with the Provincial Liberal Party. Fred, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.